Okay, so we're talking about the practicalities of a dig that's planned for later this month in a couple of weeks' time, which will be April the 18th, 19th, or 21st. And we think that if we meet at 11 o'clock, we can clear the vegetation first, start to prepare the plan of action and who's digging where, and that we will be joined by Jason Shorrock, the warden of Harrow Weald Common, in the afternoon just to observe what we're doing. Di, were you going to add something to that?
Yes, what we need to bring with us. I would say first, possibly that we have a preference for the Sunday because we think we can get more muscle power.
Yeah, yes. We'll go with the Sunday if we can.
And Peter Allen can make the Sunday.
Yes.
Very much like Phil to be there from Brunel, if he can. Dave Bridgeland is not essential if we got Peter, in my view, but it would be lovely to have him if he were.
Yeah, he said he'd like to come, so obviously we've invited him. Hope he
I mean,
can.
if he could only make the Thursday or Friday, then maybe we
Yes, we'll see.
go with
If,
one.
so the idea is to go with hand tools only to excavate the top of the bank where it has already collapsed. So actually, there's not a lot of spoil to remove in order to observe the top of that bank, but then to cut a second step at the lower level, offset by maybe 10 meters, so that it's in a position where the bank will be stable, and we won't cut the entire drop of the bank, which is up to 3 meters, I would think, nearly 3 meters. It won't be a 3 meter dug section all in one place. It will be two separate steps of a meter plus, minimum of a meter deep. Is there any advantage to having it exactly a meter?
No.
No, good. That's what I thought. Because if we do two steps, it'd be good to cover the whole depth, the whole drop of the bank.
Yeah.
Um,
So if we
and
our top bit first,
cut the top bit first.
work out where we're going to dig from, because it won't be right at the very top, will it?
The, the first one, it's already collapsed right at the very top.
So work out where it is and then see about where the next is.
Liz, I'm going to have to go because I'm going out to the Geology Society in Reading this evening, so I need to
Okay.
get myself sorted. I'll
Oh,
see
this
you.
part's being recorded, Jeremy. You can check it later.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Cheers
Bye.
then. Bye.
Oh,
Um, so then, and then we definitely want Peter Allen with his wheelbarrow and his sacks and his spades.
Yes, he certainly had all the equipment last time we took.
We want to ask Jason Horrocks to bring along a wheelbarrow as well.
I am going to mention it to him because we needed the help of that volunteers wheelbarrow last time.
Ideally, we'd like Phil to come from Brunel with a vehicle that can carry the stuff, and then it can go directly back
to Brunel if he's happy to do that. Let's recheck.
Otherwise, you think you can get some in your car. I don't think your car could take all of it. I think it could possibly take half of it. But maybe somebody else's cars could be involved, but eventually they will have to go back to Brunel.
Yeah. Do we really need larger samples than we took last time from the spoil heaps?
I don't know.
So that was a huge amount, 12 by 10 kilo sacks.
Well,
Maybe less than they were less than 10 kilos each. But it was still a lot.
I really don't know. But if we're doing it step by step and we're measuring it carefully, then I think you might find you are going to have at least a sack from each little bit of level. I should think of sacks.
Okay, so that's an important thing to record, is that what we were talking about was making clear how deep each sackful came from, not just mixing all in together from step one as one sample, but of separating it out into smaller sections, which would be then collected as a separate sample, each one a separate sample.
I would be advised about this, but it looks as if what we're saying is we want to take the sediment, the smaller fraction with it, but whether we need to take it from all of it or whether there's a case for not, in terms of weight, it's going to be very heavy. We take the whole sample for everything.
Depends what tests you want to do on it.
Yeah, but we need some sediment from each height, but I don't think we need a lot of sediment, do we? Of the smaller fraction.
Don't think so.
Just depends what test you want to do on it, really, to compare it to other places.
I thought
heavy mineral analysis may be useful.
Yes, that could be useful for different reasons.
You can probably tell where the matrix sand comes from.
But if we get all of it, then it's going to again be a lot more weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It makes sense to
need to check that out with
Phil. I will check that with Phil and with David, but the actual collector. So what we've discussed here today is our best guess of what's needed, but actually we do need David and Phil to say what tests we need to carry out, what can be done at Brunel, and instruct us then on how to collect for those tests, right? We can do it that way round. But what we have discussed is collecting it in an organized way, with labeling the slope as we dig it at quite small sections, so that we'll be able to record where each sackful was taken from, at what depth each sackful was taken from. So we will do that. We may sieve it. We'll get instructions on the details of that from those.
I can bring loppers and secateurs, and everyone should bring stout gloves.
Yeah.
And we need a few more loppers and secateurs just to clear the. I don't think the vegetation is very excessive, but it will just need clearing.
And the removal of the spoil and the positioning of the spoil, that needs to be checked with Jason Shorrock to make sure that we're not leaving anything. Oh, and the other thing was, do we need to backfill it? I need to ask him that.
And just say we want to leave it exposed. Is that
we want to leave it exposed? Is that right? Yes, that is what I was. That's obviously how we approach it, and see if not. So if we do leave it exposed, then there will be some spoil left behind. But actually, it's a very big common. Just spreading it out fairly nearby, I can't think that it's going to take up that much room.
I agree. I can't see it's a problem.
And most of the clasts, I mean, we're taking a lot of the bigger stuff. It's the stuff that
do we know in terms of cubic meters how much we're digging out? Is it 2 cubic meters, 3?
I'd like to do a minimum of 2 meters length.
So that's 2 cubic meters.
A minimum of 1 meter drop.
Yes, it's 2 cubic meters then.
Well, it's not at the one that's already collapsed. There's hardly any to remove.
No, okay, so
that's
maybe 1.
Gone. But yes,
you're talking about ton and a half of material. You could be talking about 2
cubic meters for the lower one. Yeah, I would say something like that.
That's about.
But I think we should definitely follow Jeremy's suggestion, do it in small steps, maybe less than half a meter,
yeah, even like a
20 centimeters.
20 centimeters, yeah.
25 centimeters, say.
25.
Yeah.
Yeah, and probably less than 2 cubic meters if we're going along 2 meters and down 1 meter, but the slope itself is at 45 degrees, or well, it's at an angle, so it's not a full 2 cubic meters, is it?
No.
Although we can go back deeper. That was another thing that while we were talking, I was thinking the lower step doesn't want to be all the scree. We do actually want to go back as far as we can with that lower step to get to the really good stuff that will be further into the slope. So in other words, remove the scree and then start counting and doing these little steps. And that would involve removing quite a lot of stuff before we really start at the bottom level.
We don't really know how much, so do we?
No, I don't think we can quantify it. We just have to do it when we...
In terms of the classed analysis, I think we can get the sample and it won't affect that terribly. Mm. It's just more, any structures and things that you might find. Anyway, it'll be interesting. What we also need to take is felt pens and plant sticks to measure up, as Jeremy was suggesting.
Yeah.
Certainly in the beginning when we were talking about it, we were talking about washing the pebbles on site. And
we did talk about that originally, but we were talking about having a much bigger sort of citizen science event and inviting people along to do it. I don't think that's... I think we just...
We're not going...
It's too... Well, I don't know. We might, once we've got the sacks, we might do it somewhere else at Brunel, but it just feels too much to organise in one go.
It's too much, yeah.
If what we need is a vertical section to observe the structural features, let's just do that. And obviously, while we're doing it, remove samples that will be good for analysis, because that's the best place to get them. And keep it as simple as we can, so that at least it gets done. I think that's enough for a summary of what we're doing, and that things are moving. Thank you, everybody, for contributions, and fingers crossed that this will happen.
Yeah, regarding sieving tests, particle size analysis, I can advise on that, having worked in a soils lab.
Oh, good.
The correct way to do things.
Yes, exactly, because I've put everything through this these Endicott sieves just because I'd never seen them before and thought, let me see what they do. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Well, you have to start by drying and weighing your sample to start with.
Yeah, okay. I did dry them, but I didn't weigh them.
But then you weigh your sample, and then you put it through the sieves, shake them, and then you weigh what's on what is held on each sieve, and then you express that as a percentage of the whole.
That's excellent. I will do that. In fact, I think I might just get rid of the old sample that I did, because it was messy. Let's do a proper one. I mean, when I did that lovely sample that's been on display, there were 2 pieces of glass in it. I just thought, it's so sad. We're working with something that's just so messed up. It's not a nice sample at all. And so I wasn't inclined to spend too much time doing it perfectly, because there's glass including in this. It's not...
That was from the spoil heap, wasn't it?
Yeah, from the spoil heap. Let's have a better sample, won't we? It was taken from at a lower elevation to begin with. It was taken from ponds that were dug out. It is Stanmore gravel. It's just very messed up.
But also at a lower elevation, that could be significant.
Oh, what, really?
But I just talk to David and Peter about it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, the first thing we need to try and fix the date within the next few days.
Oh yeah, that will happen.
Yeah.
So I'll send the updates out to everybody. Not that many people got back to me, but once I send out the actual date, we'll see if anybody else is interested in coming along. And I'll need to know by the end of this week, really, if I'm going to ask Brunel to send us some volunteers. I need to get that. I need to get the risk assessment done and get it out to Brunel by the end of this week.